Ah, Teela, have you not inspired an entire generation of boys to rise up, join the warriors of Eternia so they could have one day of hanging out with you? Damn it, what is it about her? I mean, come on, whether she's a cartoon or an action figure, Teela's just hot. What can I say? And having a definitive version of Teela in the classics line was obviously very important. She is, without a doubt, the most important female character. I mean, there's She-Ra and the Sorceress, but they're, I think not as central as Teela is to He-Man's story. What can I say? She's the love interest. Beats the sister any time of the week. All right, now we'd done Teela in classics. We'd done the, vintage version, in the white, one piece. And we'd done the gold bikini version. But honestly, the original one in the white piece, it always bothered me. One, because there was a miscommunication between engineering, design, and sculpting about how to do the tunic. It was supposed to be a much thinner material, and she was actually going to be even more articulated because it was going to be a ball joint. And it got lost because the tunic was cast in really hard plastic. So that always drove me crazy. And also, honestly, while the original toy was great, it was the Filmation version that made my heart go pitter-pat. What can I say? She was my first cartoon crush. Yeah, you all have them too. What can I say? So, yeah, I wanted to sort of do a version of Teela, the Filmation version, but classicized, knowing, there was still going to be the Filmation-looking animated one. That was part of the whole Club Grayskull thing, right, where the figures were actually meant to look animated with less details and accessories that match the animation. So, yeah, that was going to get you your, exact Teela figure. And come on, is it any wonder that growing up in the 80s and watching He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, I had a crush on Teela? I mean, come on, she's, like, strong and sexy. And, okay, I think I'm digging myself a big hole here. Let's just move on to the next slide before my wife watches this video and we have to have a talk. Moving on. So, okay, check. Animated Teela, done. But Classics was not an animated line. Now, we always did right by Teela. We gave her tons of accessories, and you could even get more in different weapons packs. In fact, Super 7 did a ultimate version of her, where she came with every head and accessory, and even, they painted existing heads in different colors. But it was still the original base body. It was still the classic toy version of Teela. And, like I said, I just had this thing for the animated version, and I also felt because she was such an early figure and we missed on that waist articulation, which I think really, made the figure not as good as it could have been, she was worth redoing. And when you redo a figure, I don't want to ever force fans to buy it as part of, say, the subscription. So offering Teela, in this case, with the Point Dread and Talon Fighter was deliberate because it allowed you to acquire her without being obligated if you were a subscriber, because you may already have a Teela. We didn't want to force you to buy another one, so hence why she was included with this vehicle. And it made sense to have the Talon Fighter. I mean, not only was it popular in the cartoon, you could stop in mid-air, I remember, which was, like, really weird. But it came with that awesome record book with the amazing art, and, this is the first appearance of Zodak, actually, was in the record book. So there's a lot of things that the Talon Fighter had going for it, not to mention the fact that it could attach to Castle Grayskull. In fact, most versions of Castle Grayskull come with or at least an add-on pack allowing the Talon Fighter and Point Dread to be added to the top, which is the way the original toy was, so that if you had the castle, you now had a bigger castle that could also have a giant space plane land on it. Awesome. And that's exactly what the Classics Talon Fighter was meant to do, because we already had Castle Grayskull, so now you could get the Talon Fighter and a new version of Teela. I never had a Wind Raider, probably why I love the Talon Fighter so much, because that was my only flying He-Man toy. Not a flying toy. I mean, in your imagination. I was doing a Toy Story reference. All right, let's move forward. So yeah, the castle was actually always designed to have the Talon Fighter, which is, it didn't have to be, lopped over it. It was, the Horsemen designed it from day one, knowing that if we couldn't include all that with the castle, which we knew we couldn't, that we hoped one day we'd do Point Dread. So yeah, it was designed that way deliberately, purposefully, from day one. You can see in that early blueprint. It also included some accessories that had to get cut. So yeah, here it is, resting on top of the castle, and looks badass. And, that's also why we did a different head for Teela, too. So if you just wanted to use her as a pilot, or make her, a generic pilot and not Teela, you could do that, too. So it worked for the Talon Fighter. But, of course, we wanted to include a head to make Filmation Teela. And again, so this is the ideal was it was supposed to be the Filmation, kind of haircut and tunic or one piece, classicized. And again, by having it come with Point Dread, you didn't have to be a subscriber and you weren't obligated to get another Teela who had a slightly different haircut and slightly different wardrobe. So again, not animated, but inspired by the animation. Both heads, both the pilot head and the other. And I know there were issues, fans feeling like that the head got flattened by a pan or something. I kind of don't see it. I wasn't there for her development, but as soon as fans started saying this, I grabbed my Teela and I was looking. I was like, I don't know. Well, maybe I kind of see it in the nose because it depends on the angle and the figure. But honestly, I thought for a classic interpretation of animation Teela, big mouthful. To me, it's a great figure. But yeah, I know a lot of people thought she had maybe too big of a forehead or something. Well, I'll always remember Teela the way I want to remember Teela. And I'm glad we had another shot at her because she deserved a really good figure in classics, and this was meant to be the way to deliver that.